So today we're talking about discovering strengths. How do we know, or just strengths that we didn't know we had, but we're going to tie it back to the DISC profile. We talked a little bit about that before the school holidays. So maybe some of the family might have tuned in. They might not have been listening at the time, or maybe they've even just forgotten about it because they've been off having a break, or the kids have just stressed them out. So can you maybe just give us a fresh foundation of what the DISC profile is?
Sure. All right. So the main thing I wanted to start off with was the realization that people are different. They have different values, they have different ways of interacting, different ways of communicating, different strengths and weaknesses. And very often we categorize these as different personality types. There are lots of different profiling methods out there. The one that I'm familiar with and accredited with is the DISC profiling method. And so what I'll say about that first is that usually people are not just one type. You're not usually a pure D, I, S, or C. Everyone is a blend of all four types, and no type is good or bad. Everyone, as you mentioned before, everyone has their strengths, has their weaknesses. Some types or some behaviors are more appropriate in certain contexts and can get different types of results, but there's no good or bad profile. Also, when we talk about profiles, it's not meant to pigeonhole you. It's not meant to say this is who you are and that's it and you can't change. No, the idea is that it's a mirror to reflect on yourself so that you can understand yourself better and see, okay, how can I grow? How can I develop myself? But it's also a lens that you can use to understand other people better. And how do you communicate with them? How do you lead different people? How do you work in a team of a mixed bag of personality types? So that's kind of a primer.
That's a nice primer. I think it's a really good snapshot and a good refresher for anyone that wasn't listening to it. Can you just run through what the different acronyms stand for in DISC?
So the DISC, D-I-S-C, there are four types, four categories. The D types are your dominance types. They're very direct. They are decisive. They are very in your face. These are the movers and the shakers, the people who are fast-paced, fast thinkers. They are your entrepreneurs. But also sometimes they can come across as a little bit abrasive. In order to achieve their goals, they're very goal-orientated. In order to achieve their goals, sometimes they may step on people's toes. They don't mind a good conflict if it means it gets to where they need to get to. So as I talk about these characteristics, I want you to think in the back of your mind, who do I know who's like a D personality type, right? Very confrontational sometimes, very driven. They're very driven people, but they like to achieve. And they like the challenge of it. They like to do things that are difficult. That, if they're the kind of people that you hear stories that, they want to do something, the world tells them it's impossible, it's never been done before. And they go, that's why I'm going to do it. Those are those kind of people, they really go get it. So that's your D personality type. Then your I personality type, they're very, very interactive. They're inspiring. They're very interested in people. I types are very people. They love to have fun. They love to be on stage. They love to communicate with people. They're very verbally persuasive. What I said last time is if you hear a roar of laughter from a group of people, very likely there's a high I person in the middle of them.
Yes, fair enough.
They love to have the fun. They love the social interaction. They love the positivity. All right. So that's your I personality type. Then you move to your S personality type. And your S personality types are actually the majority of the population. They are slow. They are steady. They love stability. They don't like a lot of change. They are sensitive. So they're very emotionally sensitive in both senses of the word. So they are sensitive to changes around them and they can get emotionally kind of jarred by that. But they're also sensitive to other people's emotions as well. High S people, they don't like the limelight. They like working in the background. They're very family orientated, very small group orientated. When you give them that security, that foundation, that sense that, this is somewhere that is safe, where they belong, they can actually come out of their shell. They can learn a lot, they can grow a lot, they can communicate a lot. They can almost act like a high I person. But the moment you pluck them out of that shell, that secure location, they clam up again. They go into the shells. All right. So again, I want you to think, do I know people like that, high S personalities? And the last type is the C type personality. So some C words are they're very cautious, they're conscientious, they like to do a good job, they're careful. These people are very data orientated. They like information. They like doing their research. They are the kind of people who actually do their terms. They read the terms and conditions. Their PDSs. When they try to take out a new home loan, they want to take out a new insurance policy. They will read through all the details. All right, so they like to do all that. So they are sometimes, as a result of that, they are very negative. They are very critical, both of themselves and of other people. So these kind of people can have a very low self-esteem. Because they hone their craft to such a T, they are also they're experts in their field. They do their research, they dig in. So again, I want you to think, do I know someone who is like the C personality type? Because each of those 4 personality types, they interact with each other differently. They have different strengths, different weaknesses, and you want to communicate with them in different ways as well. So those are some of the considerations and the ways you can use DISC, both to understand yourself, but also to understand other people.
Dan, when it comes to the profile, what are some of the ways, just quickly, that people can get a rough picture of where they sit or where the people that they work with sit on that profile?
Yep, sure. So if you are new to the DISC profile, and you were listening to our previous segment, you may feel a little bit overwhelmed. That's a lot of information.
It is.
And usually if I do a DISC profile with someone, I would sit down, we actually do a written assessment, and you'll check a few boxes, and then that will spit out a few graphs that will kind of tell you what the profile is. But if you don't have that, and if you are meeting someone for the first time, you don't have time to sit them down and say, before I talk to you and we talk business or have a social conversation, you need to sit down and do this profile and check all these boxes. It's not going to happen that way. The beauty of DISC is both in its power and its simplicity. So I want you to visualize with me. Imagine you had a piece of paper and you split it into 4 quadrants. Okay. Usually the way I do it is I show the 4 DISC in 4 parts of those quadrants going clockwise. So D is at the top left, I is at the top right, S at the bottom right, and C at the bottom left. So from the top right going clockwise. Top left, sorry, going clockwise. And then what I say is that the D and the I, they are the 2 at the top. They are your fast-paced styles. So they are your active styles. They are very in your face. They are fast thinkers. They are fast talkers. They are fast movers. They want to get things done. Very, very fast-paced. Whereas the S and the C style, the 2 at the bottom, they are your slow-paced styles, your passive styles. So they are more considerate. They take their time. They want to chew on things more. They may take a step back. They may be a little bit more passive. So the first thing I do when I interact with someone in the span of a handshake, I ask the question, are they fast or are they slow? Okay, so the pacing of it, right? And then the other thing I ask is, okay, are they task-orientated or are they people-orientated? So, for instance, the D and the C style, the 2 on the left, they are more task-orientated. They're more about things, getting stuff done, getting stuff right. Whereas the S and the I styles, the 2 on the right, they are more people-orientated. They are more interested in how people feel, about building relationships, about having human connection. Right? So in the span of a handshake, and again, people on listening to us today, I want you to think of someone whom you know, and think about yourself. Right? Am I more fast-paced in general, or am I more slow-paced? Am I more interested in people, or am I more interested in things? And that can then give you an idea of what sort of style you're operating in. And I use this a lot because I meet a lot of people. I do a lot of networking. When you have an idea of what sort of style a person is, you ask those 2 questions, fast or slow, people or task. That way, you can tweak the way in which you interact with them and communicate with them in order to build relationship and build rapport with them. Right. So let's do a little bit of an exercise.
Okay.
I thought about this yesterday.
Let's do it.
All right. I want you to think of someone whom you work with and interact with. All right. So let's take an arbitrary person. Let's think of Beck over here.
Okay.
All right.
Producer Beck.
She's giving me eyes now. You've interacted with her for a few months now, right?
Yes, very much so.
Yeah, right. So, do you think she's more of a fast-paced person or more of a slow-paced person? Or on a scale of 1 to 10, where 1 is like
on a scale of 1 to 10,
really slow, and 10 is like really, really fast, and can't wait to get things going.
That's a hard one. I've got the eyes on me now. I actually think that she would probably be a slightly slower pace than a faster pace. but it's like on the borderline.
All right, on the border. So like a 4.
Yeah,
All right.
probably 4 and a half.
All right,
yeah.
okay, I would agree with that. All right. Do you think she's more interested in people or more interested in getting stuff done?
Oh, see, I would say that she is both.
Okay, yep.
So I would, once again, I'd put her on that 4.5 mark, probably leaning towards the people.
Okay.
But very much great on the tasks.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. Okay, good. So she's somewhere in the middle. All right.
Yep.
And again, this is interesting because different people actually behave slightly differently in different circumstances as well.
Yes.
So for instance, Beck might behave in a certain way when she has to sort the schedule out and get people organized. And I would imagine that she is a little bit more task orientated in
that
those
process,
contexts,
very much so,
right?
in that context, yeah.
But then there's certain circumstances where she also has to be a bit more people orientated.
Very much so.
Right?
Yeah.
So again, we think about that spectrum, all right? If she's a little bit on the slower paced side, then we're looking at the C and the S, right? And then she probably alternates between those two based on the circumstances. All right. My gut feel is that she's a little bit more towards the C side, the task-oriented side.
Yeah.
So she's a little bit more correct, a little bit more compliant, a little bit more wanting to get things lined up and getting the schedule sorted out and getting stuff done.
Keeping me on track.
Keeping you on track, exactly. And this is important because when you start realizing, okay, she's that personality type, and you are a little bit more on the interpersonal side. You're a little bit more on the fast pace. You like to go at your own pace and do your own thing and go off track, and that may frustrate her because she's thinking, I've got a schedule to keep, Doug. I've got things that need to get done. I plan for all these things, and why are you veering from the plan? And if you don't realize that the two of you have a different personality type, and that you are behaving in ways that you don't expect the other person to behave, it sets you up for tension and conflict.
Very much so. I think you've read our mail there, my friend. Now, Dan, one of the things that I was thinking about before when you were explaining it is, like, if you're going, D and I are fast-paced and S and C are slow-paced. And then you've got your task and your people focus as well. I was kind of thinking of it in the terms of fast-paced are probably the people that we see that are probably not only a people person or people personalities, but they're probably people that we might see in a sales or forward-facing role, a marketing role, in someone who likes to stick the camera in front of their face and do YouTube content or vlogging or something like that. Or they're the entrepreneur, they're that... they're in that space where the energy they want to go, as well as be around people. Yes. Whereas the other side of it, I kind of think are more the artists, the philosophers, the people who like to sit, maybe behind a spreadsheet or, sit in that detail focus area. Would I be right in that?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, each of the different personality types, they have their area of strengths where they really shine in. And this is one of the powerful things of understanding your own personality type. Because once you understand the things that you are good at, then if you find opportunities to lean into that, you'll be a lot more productive. You'll enjoy yourself a lot more, and you'll find something that is a lot more fulfilling. Sometimes it's a career path. For instance, if you are an I-type personality, like you said, I-type personality is very good on stage, very good for networking, very good for building relationships. And so if you can find a job in that area, like a salesperson, like a public speaker, like a trainer or something like that, where you are in front of people talking, if you do that, then you'll feel a lot more fulfilled. Whereas if you were in that role, but you were bogged down with a lot of paperwork, you were bogged down with a lot of things that you had to do that were nitty-gritty, things that were very routine, you would get very demotivated by those things. So understanding yourself and how you work really helps to direct the things that you'd be good at and the things that you would love to do. And that is actually one of the big reasons why I'm doing what I'm doing right now. I'm trained as a software developer, but it's in my time as a software developer that I realized, I'm a mediocre software developer, but I think I could do so much better in something else. And that started my journey.
And that started your journey into helping people find out who they are, how they work, and that's brilliant. I want to flip the script a little bit.
Sure.
If we talk about discovering strengths we didn't know we had, and we were understanding our personality types, one of the thoughts that I've had is that sometimes our insecurities speak to us louder than our strengths. And when it comes to our insecurities, I think sometimes our insecurities if we grab a hold of them, actually become our strengths. Does that tie into the personality types as well?
Yes, yeah, definitely. So when you're talking about insecurities, usually you're talking about the S and the C types. So usually the I types have a bit of insecurities as well. The D type, they just kind of charge on ahead. So they are the most, and again, you talk about strengths, they have the most boldness, they have the most bravado, they have the most, just go out there and get it. But certainly, all the other types, there is that, I think everyone really has that inner sense of, am I doing things right? Am I actually loved? Do I actually belong? And when you start realizing, hey, this is maybe another topic, but everyone has certain needs inside of them, some basic needs, some basic emotional needs that need to be filled. And the different personality types tend to lean towards different needs. So the S-type personality type, for instance, slow, steady, very family-orientated. One of their biggest needs is that sense of belonging. That sense that I have a community that knows me, warts and all, but still accepts me.
Yeah.
And deep inside, there's always that sense in their hearts of, oh, am I just faking it and that's why they like me? Or do they actually genuinely care about me?
Yeah.
The key word being genuinely, truly know me. And I think as we work through those, firstly, we have to realize that we have those insecurities, we have those needs. But as we find community and as we find connection, though it's at those times that we start realizing, okay, all right, those needs are actually being met. And as a result, I can actually now give back into that community. I can now play to my strengths within that community.
Yeah, that's brilliant, mate. That's brilliant. Are there any thoughts that we need to kind of tie off with? I think maybe how we communicate with people is probably a good one.
Sure.
Can you kick us off with that?
Yeah, sure. That is a huge topic, but maybe what I'll lead with is with this. We talked about identifying, or at least observing, both the tempo and the temperature of the person. So are they fast-paced or slow-paced? That's usually the easy one. But are they more people-orientated or more task-orientated? Another way I sometimes describe it is, are they warm towards you as you interact with them? Or are they more cold towards you? They're more interested in you as a task. You're trying to get something done out of you. Especially when you're meeting someone for the first time or the 500th time, you want to identify, hey, what's their communication style? Because different personality types communicate in different ways. And if you don't communicate in their language, sometimes it's like I'm talking to you in Japanese and you're talking to me in Mandarin or Korean. No, we can kind of get each other, but it's ships passing in the night.
That's right.
Yes. So what I often do, and I teach a few students this, within the span of a handshake, you want to ask that question. Are they fast-paced or slow-paced? Are they more people-orientated or more task-orientated? And an easy way to build rapport and trust with that person and connection with that person is just to reflect back both their energy level, their pace, and also talk about things that interest them. More about people or more about tasks. Let me give you an example from last week.
Let's do it.
So I'm more of a high energy person. So I met up with someone last week at a cafe, connected to LinkedIn, was interested in the kind of stuff he was doing in the community. So I said, hey, let's meet up. Let's have a coffee. Let's chat. I waited for him, saw him coming through the door, went up to him and say, hi, my name is Daniel. Right? And his reply, let's call him Alex. Right? His reply is, hi, my name is Alex. How are you doing? And immediately I think, okay, is he fast-paced or slow-paced? What do you think?
I'm going to go slow-paced.
He's more slow-paced, at least more slow-paced than I am.
Yes.
Okay. People and tasks, a bit hard to tell, right? But the first thing I do is I pull back my tempo, my speed, and said, hi, nice to meet you, Alex. It's a pleasure. Thank you for making the time to see me. Now, that's not usually my normal rate of speaking. But if I kept up my high-speed talking pattern, all right, and his normal rate of speaking is a lot slower, he's going to feel a little bit overwhelmed and a bit rushed. And I don't want him to feel that. So what I do is I bring back my tempo to his level. Right? And at least I start off at that pace so that I build a good first impression. I build rapport with him. And then I have a conversation with him. Right? Is he more of a people person or more of a task-oriented person? I think he's somewhere in the middle, maybe leaning a bit to people. So I would talk about his background. I would talk about his family. I would talk about, his friendship circle. So, about a little bit more, be more genuinely interested in him as a person. But if you were more task-oriented, I will start talking about, okay, let's talk business. Let's talk shop. Let's see what we want to get out of this conversation. I'll contrast that with someone I met at church on Sunday.
Yep.
Okay, so I was introduced to this person, a big size fella, young guy, but he's like a head taller than I am. All right, big burly. The person who introduced me to him said that he was interested in changing his career, and he wanted to kind of get some insights. All right, so I said, hi, my name is Daniel. He says, let's call him Bob. All right, he said, hi, my name is Bob. Good to see you. I hear that you're the person to talk to. All right. Is he fast-paced or slow-paced?
He's fast-paced.
He is fast-paced. Is he more task-orientated or people-orientated?
Very much task.
He's task-orientated. All right, so more of a high D personality. So I switch over to that mode. Even though that's not my natural way of speaking, I go, okay, all right, he's more interested in networking, getting things out of this conversation, getting a task done. So I focus on that thing. I don't talk about, what's your family background, maybe a little bit, but, I don't talk about, who are your friends, how long have you been in this church, all that kind of stuff. He's trying to get an outcome. So I flip to that mode. I go, okay, all right, this is your outcome. What are you trying to get at? Where were you from? What's your career background? Why are you heading in this direction? How can I help? Right? And I think if you just ask yourself those two questions, every time you meet someone, all right, are they fast-paced or slow-paced? Are they more interested in people? Are they more interested in a relationship? Or are they more interested in getting stuff done? Yeah. And then you just tweak the way you communicate in order to suit the other person.
Yeah.
In that way, you are being other-centered in your communication. And that's a very simple but effective way to build connection and rapport and relationship with someone.
Yeah, I reckon that's a superpower that you have that we can all develop. It's something that if we take the time, try and assess where people are at, and even if you haven't worked out where they are, but you can match their energy, it's a good place to start to build rapport, mate. I think that's a brilliant tip, great advice. Family, we're going to wrap this up, but Dan, thank you so much for sharing your wisdom, your insight, and I look forward to our future conversations, my friend.
My pleasure.
And family, you're with Doug. This is Table Talk, and you're on Sunshine.